Hi, welcome to English Hamster. Are you learning English? Great. Here we learn through stories. They are simple and interesting. You can improve English while learning knowledge. Remember to subscribe, like and comment. Let's get started.
Once, at a busy railway station, there was a beggar who lived by asking for money from the people who passed by. Every day, he sat in the same place, hoping that the passengers would be kind and give him some coins. He didn't have a job, no home, and no family to care for him. His life was hard, but this was the way he survived. One day, as he was begging for money, a well-dressed businessman stepped onto the platform. The man was wearing an expensive suit, and he looked very confident. The beggar looked at him and thought, "This man must be very rich. If I ask him for money, he will surely give me a lot." The beggar felt hopeful and stretched out his hand, waiting for the businessman to give him something. However, the businessman did not give him any money. Instead, he looked at the beggar and asked, "Do you always just take from others? Have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar was surprised. He had never been asked such a question before. He didn't know how to answer. "Sir, I am just a beggar," he said. "I survive by asking for help. I don't have anything to give to anyone." The businessman smiled a little and said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you have no right to ask for anything. I am a businessman, and I believe in exchange. If you can offer me something, I can give you something in return. But if you have nothing to give, I cannot give you anything either." With that, the businessman walked away and boarded his train. The beggar stood there, shocked. He kept thinking about the businessman's words. "I have been begging for so long, but no one has ever said this to me. The man wasn't rude, but he was honest. He made me think, why should people give me money if I can't give them anything in return?" That night, the beggar could not sleep. He kept thinking about the question, "What can I give? I am just a beggar, I have nothing." For the next 2 days, the beggar did not ask anyone for money. He was too busy thinking. The businessman's words were still in his mind. "If you want to receive, you must first give." On the 3rd day, the beggar was sitting at the station again, as usual. But this time, something was different. He noticed a small patch of wildflowers blooming near the train tracks. The flowers were colorful and beautiful, and they caught his attention. Suddenly, he had an idea. "What if I offer something to people instead of just asking for money?" he thought. "What if I give them flowers? If they give me money, I can give them a flower in return." The beggar was excited by this idea. He went over to the flowers, carefully picked a handful, and returned to his usual spot. When a passenger gave him a coin, he smiled and offered them a flower. To his surprise, the people were happy. Some smiled and thanked him. They accepted the flowers with joy, and over the next few days, something amazing happened. More people started giving him money, but the beggar noticed something interesting. Every time he had flowers to give, the donations were bigger. When he ran out of flowers, the donations stopped. "It's true," he thought. "People like to get something in return for their money. If I give them something, they will be more willing to help me." One day, while handing out flowers, the beggar saw the businessman again. The businessman was sitting on a train, just like before. The beggar felt excited. He rushed over and said, "Sir, today I have something to give you. If you give me money, I will give you flowers in return." The businessman smiled and handed him some cash. He took a few flowers from the beggar and said, "You have understood the value of exchange. Today, you are no longer just a beggar. You have become a businessman." The beggar watched the businessman leave the train. As he thought about the businessman's words, he began to wonder. Am I really a businessman now? He asked himself. For a long time, he thought deeply about this. Then, suddenly, a realization struck him. I know the secret to success now, he said. I am not just a beggar, I am a trader. People are not giving me money because they feel sorry for me. They are paying for the flowers I give them. This is a business. With this new understanding, the beggar decided to make a change. He left the railway station that day and never returned as a beggar again. Months passed, and the beggar's life changed completely. With his new mindset, he started thinking like a businessman. He worked hard, selling flowers at the station every day. He learned how to buy flowers cheaply and sell them for a profit. People still gave him money, but now they were buying flowers instead of just giving him handouts. The beggar, now a flower seller, had turned his life around by offering something in exchange. 6 months later, something amazing happened. One day, at the same railway station, two well-dressed men met. They exchanged a handshake, and one of them looked at the other with a curious expression. "Do I know you?" the man asked, trying to remember the face. The other man smiled and replied, "Yes, we've met before, right here on this very platform." The first man frowned, trying hard to recall where he had seen him before. Then his eyes widened in surprise. "Wait, you're the beggar, the one I refused to give money to and later bought flowers from," he exclaimed. The former beggar laughed. "Yes, that was me. But today, I am no longer a beggar. I run a successful flower business, and I'm traveling to expand it further." The businessman who had once ignored him was astonished. "That's incredible," he said. "What changed? How did this happen?" The flower seller smiled warmly. "You taught me one of life's greatest truths," he said. "We only receive when we give. That day, I realized that I was never really a beggar. I was a businessman all along. I just needed to see myself that way." The two men shook hands again, now as equals. They both had traveled a long way in life, and they respected each other as successful individuals. Then, they boarded their respective trains, heading off to their futures. The former beggar had become an example of the power of changing one's mindset. By changing how he saw himself, his life transformed. He understood that success doesn't come from waiting for others to give you something. It comes from offering value, from giving something in return. He had learned the secret that all successful people know: if you want to receive, you must first give. This story is not just about a beggar and a businessman. It's about you. If you want to change your life, you have to change the way you think. If you see yourself as weak, poor, or unsuccessful, then that's how you will remain. But if you see yourself as strong, capable, and full of potential, your life will start to change too. The flower seller's story is a reminder to us all that we are not defined by our past or our current situation. What matters is how we see ourselves and the actions we take based on that belief. You don't need to be a beggar or a businessman to apply this lesson. It's about how you approach every part of your life, your relationships, your career, and your dreams. If you think you have nothing to offer, think again. Everyone has something valuable to give. It could be a smile, a kind word, a helping hand, or a new idea. You might not have money to give, but you can still give something. The more you give, the more you will receive in return. And the more you believe in your own worth, the more others will believe in you too. The transformation of the beggar into a successful businessman shows how our mindset can shape our reality. It's easy to get stuck in a cycle of negativity and self-doubt, especially when life is hard. But the moment we decide to change how we see ourselves, everything can shift. Just like the beggar, who once thought he had nothing to offer, you too can begin to see your own potential. Whether it's through small acts of kindness or big changes in your attitude, giving can bring great rewards. Success is not about what you receive from others, it's about what you give to the world. And in giving, you will open doors to new opportunities. The flower seller became successful not because he asked for money, but because he offered something in return. He gave flowers, and in return, he received the support he needed to build his business. So, what can you give today? What skills, talents, or kindness can you share with the world? Whether you are just starting out or have been struggling for years, remember this: your mindset will determine your success. Change how you see yourself, and the world will begin to change too. The story of the beggar teaches us a valuable lesson about the power of change, not just in our circumstances, but in our thinking. It's easy to get stuck in old habits, especially if life has been difficult. However, the moment we decide to change our thoughts and beliefs, we can start to see the world in a completely different way. Think about the beggar before he had the idea to give flowers. He saw himself as someone who was weak and had nothing to offer. He believed that he could only survive by asking for money. But once he changed his mindset, everything changed. He saw an opportunity in the flowers growing by the train tracks, and he decided to use them as a way to give something back to others. That simple decision turned his life around. This is a powerful reminder that we often have everything we need to succeed right in front of us. The beggar didn't have to wait for someone to give him money or save him. He had flowers, and he used them to create a small exchange with others. By offering something, he received not just money, but also respect, recognition, and new opportunities. The key to success is to stop focusing on what you don't have and start using what you do have. Whether it's time, talent, or a positive attitude, you have something valuable to offer. The beggar's story shows that when you give, even in small ways, you create an energy of exchange that brings back much more than you expect. It's a law of life that we often forget. The more you give, the more you receive. Another important lesson from the story is the concept of value. When the beggar first started offering flowers, people began to see his value. They didn't see him as just a beggar asking for money. They saw him as someone who was offering something in return, no matter how small. This shift in perception changed everything for him. In life, people are more likely to help you when they feel that they are getting something in return. This doesn't mean you should only give to get something back, but it does mean that people appreciate an exchange. They want to feel like they are making a positive impact too. So, when you give something, make sure it's something of value, whether it's a service, a smile, or an idea. People will respond to your generosity, and you will find that doors open in unexpected ways. The businessman who had once ignored the beggar recognized this change. He saw that the beggar was no longer just a person asking for help, but a person who was contributing to society in his own way. The businessman's words, "You are no longer just a beggar, you have become a businessman," were a turning point in the beggar's life. This simple statement was all it took for the beggar to see himself differently. He wasn't a beggar anymore, he was a businessman. And that change in mindset made all the difference. This is the power of perception. The way you see yourself will determine how the world sees you. If you see yourself as capable, strong, and full of potential, others will start to see you that way too. When you believe in your worth, you attract opportunities, respect, and success. This is a key lesson for everyone. Stop seeing yourself as weak or unsuccessful and start seeing yourself as someone with power and potential. Another reason the beggar succeeded was his willingness to try something new. He didn't just sit around and wait for change to happen, he actively looked for a way to improve his situation. Sometimes, when life feels hard, we can become stuck in a rut. We might keep doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. But the beggar understood that if he wanted to change his life, he needed to try something new. He thought outside the box, and it paid off. Trying new things, even small changes, can open up new paths to success. Whether it's learning a new skill, changing your routine, or finding new ways to interact with others, change is often the first step towards growth. The beggar's willingness to offer flowers instead of asking for money is a perfect example of how taking action, even in small ways, can lead to big results. As you think about the beggar's transformation, consider what you can change in your own life. What mindset do you need to change? Are there small actions you can take today to start changing your reality? It might be as simple as deciding to give something to someone, even if it's just a kind word or a helpful action. It could be about believing in your potential, even if it feels difficult. The beggar didn't wait for someone to change his life. He took action, he gave, and he received in return. And by changing how he saw himself, he transformed not just his life, but his future. The beggar's transformation reminds us that the power to change our lives lies within us. It's not about waiting for the world to change or for others to offer us help. Instead, it's about changing how we see ourselves and taking action. The moment the beggar shifted his mindset, he opened the door to a completely different life. He stopped seeing himself as powerless and started seeing himself as someone with value. This shift allowed him to offer something to others, and in return, he began to receive what he needed. This is the same for all of us. Life is not about what we lack, it's about what we have and what we can give. Everyone has something valuable to offer. It could be a talent, a skill, a smile, or simply a willingness to help others. But if you don't believe in your value, it's hard to give anything. The beggar's story shows us that the key to success is believing in yourself and then offering what you can, no matter how small it seems. When you offer something of value, you create an exchange. The beggar's flowers weren't expensive, but they were meaningful. They represented his willingness to give, to share something beautiful with others. In return, people gave him money, not out of pity, but because they appreciated what he offered. This exchange of value is what created the opportunity for his success. The more he gave, the more he received. And the more he received, the more his business grew. The businessman who had once refused to give him money understood this principle of exchange. He saw that the beggar was no longer just asking for handouts, but was offering something valuable in return. He recognized the beggar as someone who had learned the importance of giving and receiving, and he respected that. This is an important lesson for all of us. Success doesn't come from taking, it comes from giving. The more you give, the more you will receive. The beggar's story also shows the importance of confidence. When he first started giving flowers, he wasn't sure how people would react, but he believed in what he was doing. He saw himself as someone with value, and that belief made a huge difference. Confidence is key to achieving success. When you believe in yourself and what you have to offer, others will start to believe in you too. Confidence is not about being perfect. It's about believing that you have something worth sharing, even if it's small. The beggar didn't have a lot, but he had flowers, and he believed that those flowers were worth something. That confidence in what he had changed everything for him. Another lesson from the beggar's story is the importance of adaptability. The beggar didn't stick to begging for money. He adapted his approach and started offering flowers instead. This adaptability allowed him to create a new path for himself. He didn't get stuck in his old ways. He saw a new opportunity and took it. Life is constantly changing, and those who are willing to adapt and try new things are the ones who succeed. Adaptability is an essential skill in today's world. Things are always changing, and the ability to adjust to new situations can make all the difference. Whether it's learning a new skill, changing your job, or finding a new way to solve a problem, being adaptable helps you move forward. The beggar didn't wait for things to get better. He made things better by changing how he approached life. Success is not just about hard work, it's also about being open to change. When the beggar saw the flowers, he didn't ignore them. He recognized them as an opportunity to create something new. This is a lesson we can all learn. Opportunities are often hidden in plain sight. It's up to us to see them and take action. The beggar's transformation is also a reminder that our past does not define us. He had been a beggar for many years, but he didn't let that past shape his future. Instead, he saw himself as someone with the ability to change. His past didn't have to dictate his future. This is an important lesson. No matter where you come from or what your past is, you have the power to change your future. The past can hold us back if we let it. We might think that because we made mistakes or face challenges, we can't succeed. But the beggar's story proves that this isn't true. He was once a beggar, but by changing his mindset and taking action, he became a successful businessman. He didn't let his past define him. Instead, he defined his own future. We all have the power to change. It doesn't matter what mistakes we've made or what obstacles we've faced. What matters is how we choose to move forward. If we believe in ourselves and take action, we can create the life we want, just like the beggar did. As we come to the end of the beggar's journey, it's important to remember that the transformation wasn't just about changing his job or his financial situation. It was about changing his entire perspective on life. The beggar stopped seeing himself as someone who was dependent on others, and instead, he started seeing himself as someone who could contribute. This shift in thinking empowered him to take action and make changes in his life. This shift in perspective is key to understanding why mindset matters so much. The way you see yourself will influence your actions. If you see yourself as weak or unable to succeed, then you will act in ways that reflect those beliefs. But if you see yourself as strong, capable, and full of potential, your actions will reflect that belief, and you will start to create the life you want. Just like the beggar, who once saw himself as powerless, you can change your perspective and open the door to new possibilities. The beggar's journey is a reminder that change is not always easy. It takes courage to change how you see yourself and how you approach life. But once you make that shift, the world begins to change with you. The businessman who had once ignored the beggar now saw him as a successful flower seller. The beggar had proved that he could create something of value, and in return, he received the support and respect he deserved. This is a powerful lesson for anyone looking to make a change in their life. The first step is to change your mindset. If you believe that you are capable of success, then you will start to take the steps needed to achieve it. If you believe that you have something valuable to offer, you will begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Your mindset shapes your actions, and your actions shape your future. Another important lesson from the beggar's story is that success is not just about what you receive, but about what you give. We often think that success comes from getting something, whether it's money, fame, or recognition. But the truth is, success comes from giving something of value to others. The beggar gave flowers, and in return, he received money. He didn't just ask for help, he offered something in exchange. And that exchange of value led to his success. This is an important principle to remember in any area of life. Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal growth, giving is key to success. When you offer something of value, whether it's your time, your skills, or your kindness, you create a positive exchange that leads to growth and opportunity. Giving doesn't always mean giving something physical, like money or flowers. It can also mean giving your attention, your support, or your knowledge. The more you give, the more you will receive in return. The beggar's story also teaches us the importance of taking initiative. The beggar didn't wait for someone to change his life. He didn't wait for someone to give him a handout. He took matters into his own hands. He saw an opportunity in the flowers and decided to act on it. This is an important lesson for all of us. If you want to create change in your life, you have to take initiative. Waiting for the perfect moment or for someone else to solve your problems will only keep you stuck. Instead, take action, even if it's a small step. Every small action leads to bigger opportunities. Finally, the beggar's transformation shows us that success is a journey, not a destination. It didn't happen overnight. It took time, effort, and persistence. But the most important thing is that he never gave up. He kept giving, he kept believing in himself, and he kept taking action. And over time, his life changed. This is the true power of persistence. It's easy to give up when things don't go as planned, but success comes from continuing to push forward, even when it feels hard. The beggar's journey didn't have an easy start, but he kept going, and eventually, his persistence paid off. As we finish this story, think about the lessons you can apply to your own life. What mindset do you need to change? What action do you need to take? How can you offer something of value to others? The beggar's story shows us that no matter where we start, we have the ability to change our lives. By changing how we see ourselves, taking action, and giving something of value, we can create the life we want. Success is not something that happens to you, it's something that you create. Just like the beggar, you can change your life by changing your mindset, offering value to others, and taking persistent action. Your journey to success starts today with the belief that you have something valuable to give.
Hey, if you learned something new today, please give this video a like. Write your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second and it really helps to create more English videos for you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.